Hello everyone, and welcome to a video on the Casio Ct-X3000 keyboard. In this video I'm going to give you a few ideas and examples about wireless and Bluetooth audio. This information may also apply to any similar kind of keyboard, and it might give you some extra functionality that you don't currently have. So first of all, let's take a look at this little device which is made by Casio. It's called the WU-BT10. It's a wireless MIDI and audio adapter, but unfortunately it's only compatible with a limited number of their latest keyboards. It's not compatible with the Ct-X range. I'll put a list of the compatible keyboards in the description section of the video. But with this Bluetooth device plugged into one of those compatible keyboards, you can wirelessly send and receive MIDI and also use the keyboard speakers to play back any audio from an external device, such as a phone or a tablet or computer. And that particular feature might be useful if you wanted to play back some backing tracks from your phone through the keyboard speakers and then play along. However, as I said, this isn't compatible with the Ct-X range, but there are other gadgets on the market that are relatively inexpensive, which will provide you with some of the same functionality and possibly a bit more as well. In this video, I'm going to be concentrating on the audio side of things. So often I have to play in quite small spaces, which means my equipment and the leads can be a trip hazard if anyone is walking past or just gets in the way of things. So connecting the keyboard to an amplifier or an external speaker usually requires a cable plugged into the headphone or line output and then to the relevant input on the other end. But I've been using a wireless system for a few months, which has been reliable and has enabled me to get rid of the cable. And it also means that you can position your external speaker away from the keyboard and not have it to be so close and cramped to your playing position. So after a little bit of research, I went for this wireless system, which is made by LEKATO. And the model number is WS90. On the box it's called a guitar wireless system, but it will work with keyboards. Incidentally, I also use a LEKATO wireless microphone system. This is called the MW1, which again I found to be very useful for reducing the number of cables in my setup. But let's go back to the keyboard units that I've got here. Each of these units looks identical, but one is the transmitter, the one that has the guitar icon on, and the other one, the receiver, has a speaker icon on one side. They both have metal 1/4-inch jack plugs, but the casing is made of plastic, which is a little bit fragile, so you do need to take a little bit of care over them. There's also a little rubber pad which will lean against the keyboard, and you could even just use a little bit of gaffer tape to hold them in position. These units are about 4.5 centimeters wide, about 9 centimeters long, and about 1 centimeter high. So you'll need to make sure that they don't get in the way of neighboring connections. The jack plug, as you can see, is hinged, so you can reposition them easily, and you can even swivel them, the whole unit, for a position that works for you on your keyboard. On the side of both units, they have an on-off switch. They have a button to change channel, and a USB-C connection for charging. There are 4 switchable channels, so just make sure that both units are showing the same blue lights on the top panel. I'll turn these on and you can see that these are both set to the same channel, the fourth blue light. So this means potentially you could have 4 pairs of these units on different channels for different keyboards at the same time. I haven't extensively and scientifically tested these units, but they have been reliable when I've used them in live situations such as church services and for rehearsals. I use them for about 3 or 4 hours at a time before recharging them, and maybe they'll last longer than that, but I just like to know that they won't stop mid-performance. The distance between the keyboard and my external speaker can be several meters. I haven't found there to be a noticeable lag or latency from when I press a key on the keyboard to the sound coming out of the external speaker, and the sound quality of these is almost as good as the cable, or if not the same. I'll now plug them into the keyboard and play some examples so you can hear how they sound. So I've now got the transmitter plugged into the headphones output on the keyboard, and the receiver is plugged into a channel on my mixer. When you're plugging in any audio equipment, it's a good idea to turn down the volume, and then when you're ready, just turn it up and you'll avoid any nasty and unexpected noises. On the Ct-X, you may also want to turn on the internal keyboard speakers so that you can hear the sound coming out of those as well as your external speaker. So you just go into the function menu and use the 1 and 3 buttons until you get to speaker, then press enter, another press on the number 3 button to the right, and where it says phone speaker, you want to turn that on with the wheel. You can turn that on, and then the sound will come out from the keyboard speakers as well as being sent to your external speaker. But in this case, for the video, I'm going to keep the speakers turned off so the sound isn't picked up by my vocal microphone. So let me play the keyboard to you. So obviously this isn't a stereo signal, it's a mono signal, and usually when I'm doing YouTube videos I tend to use a stereo cable, but in a live situation a mono signal is fine for me. Now let's take a look at another little gadget that will allow you to stream Bluetooth audio into your keyboard. As I mentioned earlier, this might be a good way to play backing tracks through your keyboard which you can play along with. You may already know that the Ct-X will play audio files from a USB memory stick, but they have to be in the right format. They have to be 16-bit, 44.1 kilohertz WAV files or WAV files. And it just might be more convenient for you to have your backing tracks on a playlist on your phone or tablet. So this is a Bluetooth audio receiver, and it's made by UGreen, and the model number is a BT505. And on one side it says high-res audio wireless, and then there's a multi-function button on the top. And then around the other side, there are 2 types of output. One is an auxiliary mini jack for connecting to headphones or speakers, and the other is a pair of left and right RCA phono sockets for speakers. And then there's also a USB charging port. So to use this with the Ct-X, you just need to plug it into the audio input on the back of the keyboard, which is a small mini jack socket. And the cable that I use has a mini jack connection on one end, and then on the other end it's got two RCA phono plugs that will connect to the left and right sockets on this device. So let me just set that up now, and then I'll give you an example of what it sounds like. So now I've connected the Bluetooth audio receiver with the cable going into the input on the keyboard, and then the other end, the two RCA plugs are plugged into the RCA sockets on the device. And now it's just a case of powering it on and pairing it with a phone or tablet. And the unit itself will give an indication that it's been connected with a little voice message. So I just hold this button for a few seconds.
Power on.
Bluetooth connected.
And you heard the little voice say the power is on and now it's connected via Bluetooth. So we should be able to play some tracks from a tablet that's got some backing tracks on it. Let me just go to the tablet and find a track. I've got some sheet music which actually has an audio file embedded into it, so I can read the music and play along to a backing track. So let's start that going. You may need to adjust the keyboard levels and the tablet or the phone levels to get the right balance between the two. And again, you can turn the keyboard speakers on or off. If you have them on, then the sound will come through the speakers. And also remember that I've still got the wireless audio set up. So there's audio going out to the output of an external speaker, or perhaps a recording device, or an audio interface. So all in all, this is a really useful setup for me when I'm using backing tracks for playing live or for a rehearsal. So let me play this song track. And I can play along. And so on. So you get the idea of how you can use backing tracks and a Bluetooth audio device like this. So I hope that's given you a few ideas for your own particular setup and your own situation. And thanks for watching. All the best.